Hi guys, CJ here. We currently have a few positions available for relationship managers. If you would like the opportunity to work in sports marketing, this could be it. The ABA is the largest pro league in the world and partnered with the AAU, representing over 700,000 athletes around the world. Building business relationships and helping bring new audiences to every business we're working with is the goal. We're not limited to one state or region. Businesses partnering with sports is always a win-win for the community. Sound interesting? Then drop us an email and get more information at jobs@aba1on1.club, and we'll get back to you right away.
Sassy B Worldwide Productions. With over 25 years of entertainment experience, we have done it all. Celebrity appearances, red carpet events, image consultation, and branding design. Our clients range from American football stars to Hollywood celebrities and everyone in between. Want to make a splash in the entertainment industry? Then it's time to get sassy. SassyBWorldwide.com.
You're listening to ABA One-on-One Podcast.
Hey guys, it's time for a new episode of ABA One-on-One.
Open up, yeah. Open up now. Open up. Open up, yeah. Open up. Open up now. I'll give a damn dog, give him a bone. Give a damn dog a bone. I'll give a damn dog, give him a bone. Give a damn dog a bone.
Wow, today we have basketball royalty again in the house. First, I'm going to say hi to Dale Harris. We got Brian and Rick with us. Dale, it's your show, man. So welcome to ABA One-on-One.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. This is good. I've always wanted to come to Australia, hoping to do clinics there. I've done them around the world. I've been to 5 continents talking on basketball and so forth, and have had the good fortune to have coached in a couple of World Cups and Olympics, and been coaching with 5 different national teams, but never got the chance. Well, I had the chance, but it just didn't work out to come to Australia, but always wanted to. I have the highest respect for Australia, number one, and for Australian sports. But of course, I hate to say it about, rugby or this or that, but especially I love Australian basketball. Those guys are tough.
Woo!
Well, I can tell you, I'll get in early too, Coach, because I know Rick's gonna he has a list waiting on you. But Coach, I just want to say welcome to the show. I don't know if you remember me, Coach, but you drafted me back in 1987 out of UCSB, and I was there with you guys and like with Matt Calvin and Mike Dunleavy and that group.
What's your name?
Brian Vaughns. I was
Brian Vaughn. Yeah, well, they were just saying Brian. Well, great to see you. Holy cow, that's been a long time ago.
Yeah, it has been. It really has been.
Great.
Wow.
Well, it's great to hear your voice.
Oh yeah, Coach. Great having you on the show today. I'm like I said, I'm like CJ today. I'm just listening. I am listening because you have brought so much to the game. You have been you're basketball royalty. So yeah, just welcome. I'm at
Brian Vaughn, I'm telling you, it's now Walrun. I can see him anywhere. That man's everywhere. Now I'm telling you. No, but to talk to you this way, this is great, and CJ, really appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, well, Rick, go with it, man.
Hey, Coach, thank you so much. You know how appreciative I am. we go back to the Tri-Cities area almost when you were at Milligan. I'm a little bit after that, but I was at Bristol College for about three months. So
Well, we hooked up about everywhere, I'd say.
yeah. But I just want to thank you again. I want to just go through some things that are of interest to me. The first thing would be, since it's an ABA podcast, I saw your first job, I think, was with the Utah Stars. Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, the first American pro job.
Yeah,
yes,
that's what I mean.
Utah Stars in 1975. Unfortunately, that was the last year of the ABA, and in fact, Utah didn't finish the entire season that year. We had a new owner come in that year, and Moses Malone, he and Ron Boone, the great Ron Boone, they were our premier players at that time. We had a good team, but anyway, Moses broke his foot in training camp and didn't play a game. And by the end of the month, we had these new owners. We weren't drawing, and it was, everybody knew that the end was near, and they bailed out on us. So I ended up that year out there stuck with 4 young kids and no job. And the car dealers took away the cars they were giving us, to use. And I had my own. But anyway, fortunately, Jerry Pym, the great coach from Utah University, but then after that, UC Santa Barbara, and always had outstanding teams. Well, anyway, he put me on as assistant coach to finish that year, and then the next year I was with the Houston Rockets, and been working in the NBA ever since.
It's funny you mentioned Jerry Pym. That's who I played for in college at UC Santa Barbara. Great guy, Jerry Pym.
That's why I threw it out there. It just reminded me. That's how I got you. He stood up for you and said, and Pym had he was a great coach. By the way, that year I was with him, he was finalist for NCAA Coach of the Year.
Wow.
So then he had, after that, Shaw,
Brian,
Brian Shaw. I mean, he specialized in Brians out there.
Well, we had 3 of them on the team that year. It was myself, Brian Johnson, and another Brian Shaw. They called us the Briangle.
That's a good one.
Wow. Oh man, that's funny. Yeah.
But yeah.
Coach,
sorry.
You're talking about Moses Malone. Moses may be one of my favorite. Well, he is. I think my favorite player of all time. I loved Moses. He's from Petersburg, Virginia, and I'm from Roanoke. And we used to. I was telling some people, if we'd have won one more game my senior year in high school, we would have played them in the state tournament when he was at Petersburg. Obviously, we didn't make it, but Moses Malone was one of those. He's one of those all-time my heroes growing up. I love Moses.
Well, he's a good man. I'm telling you, I spent more time with Moses than any other single player, and he spent more time with me than any other single coach, because I coached him for 6 years there at the Rockets. He was MVP twice, and the last year that I had him, he was MVP, and he averaged his career best 31 and 14.7. And then he was a free agent, and Philadelphia offered him $13 million to come play for them, and we had a new owner come in. Same thing happened the last time I had a new owner. Nothing good happens, and the new owner said, "I'm not paying $13 million to one player. I just paid $9.5 million for this entire franchise, and we'll finish last and get Ralph Sampson." And I said, "Well, that'll be good for you, not for me." And he said, "Oh, we'll take care of you, Coach." Well, they did. They took care of me all right. New Jersey.
Wow.
But that's funny. That's unbelievable. Coach, tell me a little bit about Puerto Rico. I know you were there for what, 5 or 6 years? Longer?
7 summers. Yeah, I will. Let me just say before I get to that, though, just in memory of Moses, we stayed friends our entire time, and I got him again. I signed him at Milwaukee toward the end of his career, and he played a year there, and then we stayed in touch, and I spoke to him 2 days. I saw him personally, talked to him 2 days before he died, and
Wow.
and I started. I think I was the first one to donate to the Randolph Foundation there in Roanoke that has Moses Mo's scholarship thing set up. But it's Randolph Foundation, and so I started that off with some money a few years back. But anyway, Puerto Rico. I was coaching. I started out coaching junior high and then high school, and then when I was 27, I got my goal was to be a small college coach, because I had played in small college. I know with another friend of yours we'll get to later, Rick, but at small college, and I thought, well, that's a good life, being a coach of a small college. Mm-hmm. And it must be pretty good, because my small college coach just died about 2 months ago, and he was 95. So anyway, this is what I wanted to do. So I got this small college job at age 27 when I signed up, and we didn't have much to start with, but we built it up pretty quickly. And I started teaching there as well in some history, but also in the theory of basketball or coaching. And as a result, I wrote a lot of stuff down, and then I ended up writing some magazine articles in sports periodicals on coaching and just strategy in basketball, things like that, and on several of them. And it went around the world, because in those days, the people in Europe and even Australia, South America, they were really hungry to read. Because there weren't these television games and things. There was one NBA game on TV a week, and that was it during the season. And so anyway, then that led to writing books and things like that. But as a result, in Puerto Rico, they saw an article I had written in the Converse yearbook. They used to put out a yearbook, and in that they'd have coaches' articles and things. And they saw it, and they called me up and wanted to know if I'd come and coach in Puerto Rico. Well, I didn't know anything about summer basketball in Puerto Rico, but they had making a good offer on money, and come to find out, and studying into it briefly, that the guys that were coaching down there were ABA and NBA and D1 coaches, because nobody in those days was making any money. I was making about $8,000 a year as a head college coach, and you could make that almost down there in the summer. So I went down there, and I went with an expansion team. They called me in the middle of the year, actually. They'd lost every game. So they said they'd pay me for the full year if I'd come. So I did. And, well, we won some, not much. And they wanted me to come back. So I did. And we won some more, but not a lot. But another team liked my style and asked me and they were good. And I'd coach them. Well, that one thing led to another. I kept going back and forth down there for 7 summers and won the championship down there the last 3, and was coaching against guys like Doug Moe and Bernie Bickerstaff and Tom Nasalki, Jack McKinney, Paul Westhead, Herb Brown.
Jackson there, coach?
Beg your pardon?
Was Phil Jackson and George Carl, did they coach in Puerto Rico?
After me. They came after me.
Okay.
Phil got fired twice down there, as a matter of fact. It was hard to stay coaching down there, I got to tell you. They were intent on winning. In fact, one year I only lost 5 games, but we only played 30-some regular season and then the playoffs. but I lost 5 games, but I lost 2 in a row twice. And the papers were questioning whether I'd be coaching that next game or not. And probably I wouldn't have been if we'd lost the next one, but we didn't. So, but anyway, that Tom Nasolke then asked me to come and be his assistant coach at the Utah Stars. And that's Sam Jones, Casey Jones. There were Raleigh Massimino. Let's see, the great coach that coach UCLA, Memphis State, Gene Bartow. Gene Bartow became the head national coach there. And later on, I coached them twice as well, and we won a gold and a silver. So it was a great experience. I would never, ever have gotten into the NBA had it not been for Puerto Rico and even for little Earlham College in Indiana to allow me to do that.
Wow.
Thanks for having me.
But you know, Coach, with the guy you were going to mention about Sonny Smith, he off the air, I'm not going to do it on the air. I'll tell you a story about Sonny and Gene Bartow. Gene Bartow was at University of Alabama, Birmingham, about players and players out of Alabama. It's pretty funny. I'll tell you.
Yeah, I suspect it is. Most of Sonny Smith's happenings are funny.
Now, Coach, you've had a storied career, especially at the NBA level, and I mean you were at several teams, especially when you're a head coach, and I know you had some great teams with Milwaukee and the Lakers. Can you tell us a little bit about the contrasting styles? Because I know the Milwaukee Bucks, they were in that Eastern Conference, and that was that, with Terry Cummings and those guys, and Paul Pressey, that was that grind and that grinding physical style of play. And then you coached on the West Coast, say with the Lakers, and that was kind of more of a run and gun style and open court play. And can you touch a little bit on the differences in the two conferences that you coached at?
Well, of course, actually going back even further with the other team that I was head coach of, the first one, the Houston Rockets. Now that one was really a pounded out team because that was all about getting the ball to Moses and then playing through him or to him, either one, whatever it took. But now when I started there, I had Hall of Fame player in Rick Barry, but he was at the end of his career. I was his last coach. He just played for us while I was coaching there the 1 year. But what a great player he was. And he did a good job. He made 7 threes in a game, and way back 1979. So at the time, that was a headline. And then I started when we went my second year. We went to the NBA Finals against the Celtics and Larry Bird. In fact, we beat the Lakers with Magic and Kareem in the opener. And but we would just pound it to death. I played 2 7-footers. Moses was 6'10", played 7'5", and Billy Pulse, the Whopper. And I had Calvin Murphy, who's a Hall of Famer that had the sweetest stroke going, and then I had some really. Robert Reed is a great athlete. Mike Dunleavy, Tommy Henderson, Major Jones. But that was a grinded out team there, and we were able to win and to do well there. And then it was kind of a step up in terms of the speed, but you're right that the East was a grinded out team or a conference anyway, and it was much better than the West. In fact, in the 80s, where you have so many great coaches to go against, you just go through a list of them. It's just amazing the great coaches that were coaching in the 80s, and you had to be ready every game. You weren't going to outsmart anybody, and everybody was prepared. But anyway, we had Terry, but we had Jack Sikma, another Hall of Famer, and Ron Brief, another Hall of Famer. I didn't have bad players. that's why we won the games. And but in the East, you just had everybody was so good. But in the West, it was just in the 80s, the only teams that came out of the West were the Lakers and the Rockets. That's it. The only two teams that ever played.
Only two teams. Yeah, that's right.
And anyway, the Bucks in the 80s had the fourth best regular season record in the league, but you had the Celtics, Lakers, and Sixers, and we never could get past both the Celtics and Sixers. And then at the end of the 90s, 80s rather, and beginning of the 90s, we had to get rid of somebody named Jordan at Chicago and the bad boys before that in Detroit in 89, 90. So, and having said all that, the other teams were just outstanding as well. I mean, Atlanta, Cleveland, the Knicks and all those ball clubs. In fact, in the Central Division, we had 5 teams, and there's only 21 teams. And when I started, I think there was 23 at that time. And but anyway, all of the teams finished 500 or better one year. That's how good the Central was. We went 49 and 23 against teams that weren't Atlanta or the Bulls. 49 and 3 against the rest of the league. 49 and 13.
Wow.
And we finished third or fourth. I think we finished behind Atlanta. I think we finished whatever it was. I mean, that's how tough it was. So anyway, to answer your question, then we averaged 110 points there, though, because we had such good players. And I forgot to mention Ricky Pierce. What a killer. And just let Ricky take the last shot anytime. And Jack himself was the first 7-footer to shoot the 3-point shot. He shot over 400 of them his last 2 years that I had him. Hadn't taken any before that to speak of, about 20. And he shot 38% one of those years. And besides that, I had Lowhouse that shot over 100, and Paul McCarthy shot quite a few. All of them 7-footers. And it would be another 20 years before, that would become really a popular thing. But so I had a really good team. Jay Humphreys.
Was Sidney Moncrief on that team, Coach?
Oh yeah, Sid was the heart of it. In the 80s, he was the heart of the team in the 80s, no question. Now, again, I had him at the end of his career. He started for me. The last year he played for me, but he wasn't the Sid at that time, but he was always a wonderful leader and just a great human being, and one of my very good friends at this very moment. I mean, I'd fight for Sid anytime, and so it was good. But then the Lakers, obviously they wanted to run. That's fine. Hey, I wanted to run. My college team averaged over 100 points a game in 1967, 68. Yeah. And we averaged 97 a year over a 6-year period. So I wasn't afraid to put the ball in the air, but you had to have the kind of talent to do that. at the Lakers, we did. And the last 3 years I had them, we scored the most total points in the league. And even with that, Shaq, I had him just the last 2 years, and Kobe was 18, 19 those 2 years. But and Kobe just averaged 7 and 15 as an 18 and 19-year-old, but 15 on that team was good. It was third best. He was runner-up sixth man in the league that year as a 19-year-old. And but Shaq missed 32 games the year we won 56, and he missed 22 the year we won 61 in the last year. So that's how good the rest of them were. I mean, Eddie Jones, Nick Van Exel, Rick Fox, Robert Ory, Derek Fisher, really, and the youngest team in the playoffs when I my last year there. So,
Wow.
Coach, we had Paul McKeskey on, him and Greg Kite on at the same time. And, boy, there was some stories told there now. They're like me. They never let the truth stand in the way of a good story. But, boy, they're hilarious. So to hear those stories about Greg Kite, when he was with the Celtics, and then Paul when he was with the Bucks, it was fascinating, just like this one.
Hey, Coach, Coach, I have to jump in real quick. We got about 10 minutes left, but I definitely want to ask you this. What was it like being Kobe's first pro coach?
Well, I'll tell you about Kobe. Of course, first of all, it was great to have ever been associated with him. You and we've all been talking here about stuff, but these days kids don't know anything about the history that you guys are talking about, and so
that's why
I'm best known as Kobe's first coach, Magic's last coach, and was in the movie Space Jam. So that's the way I'm introduced when I talk to like 12-year-old kids at these basketball clinics. See, but my only regret with Kobe, who was the most intense, hard-working, goal-oriented young fella I ever saw, and intelligent to go with it. Plus, people asked, well, what was your first impression of Kobe? And my first impression when I met Kobe was he was really cute. And that was because he was only 4 years old. I was his dad's coach at the Houston Rockets, and Kobe was 4 years old. He grew up to be real handsome, we could say. But at any rate, my big regret was that the Lakers were, they and the Clippers were the last two teams to build or have their own practice sites. So we had to move around. We played, while I was coaching there, 6 different places, and you had to get the schedule each week where we were going to be when. It was normally always going to be at 10 o'clock to 12, but then you had to get out of there because wherever it was, colleges, and usually high schools, but usually colleges. I could have spent so much time with him more in his beginning years. And I'm telling you, this kid would have slept in that facility. He absolutely would have. And he was staying in his parents' home anyway, who moved out there. And they lived, I could see the roof of their house from my house.
Wow. Man.
Unbelievable.
And the shame about Kobe dying is that he died at 41, the same time I turned 82. And he lived half of the life. And the great things he did in his first 41, he would have done better because he had laid the groundwork for so many great things to do to help others.
Oh, yeah.
Coach, I mentioned this before. One of the great experiences, I got to work his camp out in Santa Barbara a couple times, and Michael's camp. But Kobe was unbelievable, though. Once he saw you, knew you were affiliated with the game, he'd come over, just hug you, act like you've been known him your whole life. And I just was so impressed with his demeanor.
Wonderful, just terrific, and you could see it the way he treated his children and things like that. And all the things he was doing. It's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
Well, let's note in on that note, fellas. Let's bring it back up a little bit
Bring
here.
it back
Oh
up.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
We talked about two guys that I started coaching when they were so young,
Yeah.
Moses and Kobe, and they both should still be living. And you know, I'm proud, happy to have been associated with them, but what a shame. Okay, pick me up, guys. Come on.
Okay,
All
I'll
right.
pick you up. You mentioned one of my favorite players, Coach, that people ask me all the time, but he's one of my favorite players, was Jack the Banger Sigma. I thought that he had the best footwork and turnaround bank shot. He just had an unstoppable move. Can you talk a little bit more about Jack Sigma?
Well, I tell you what, you've left your mark as a center when they name a move after you. So then you're talking about the Sigma move. Well, there was a Moses, there was the McNeil move. You know, there's the sky hook of Kareem, so on and so forth. That's so Jack was as good a teammate and team leader of anybody I ever coached. I was with him his last 4 years of his career. I didn't have him during his championship run, but this guy, and again, we're in touch, dear friend, Hall of Fame player. This last year was inducted, but he's a Hall of Fame human being, and you know, even though he had that unstoppable move in the post, as he got older, his lift left him a little bit, and he was such a great shooter that, you know, we'd had all these shooting drills, and I could tell easily he was our best 3-point shooter. So I said, hey, we got to try this in the game. Sure enough, he got 5 1/4 against David Robinson, who refused to come out after him. Drove Larry Brown crazy.
The original stretch 5.
Yes, he was that.
oh man. Hey, awesome. Hey, Coach. Well, look, we're about to wrap this thing up. We're definitely going to have you back and make it like an hour and a half, 2-hour show because
I think a day would do.
There's so much knowledge to pass on. You know, like wow. I'm. This is the quietest the guys have ever seen me. So,
Right.
you know, but really, I want to thank you for being on our small little show here, and we're trying to grow it, and really appreciate you giving us your time. I'm gonna say thanks, and I know the boys want to say thanks, so I'll let everybody say their thing. But thank you for being on ABA 101, my man.
Well, anytime, I'd be glad to talk to my mates down under.
Cool. All right, Brian.
Get that blooming onion.
There you go. Brian, guys, go ahead.
Thank you, Coach. Again, you know, like I said, it's been many moons, and you know, we've had a little bit of history between yourself and myself, and just thank you. Thanks for being on. Really, really appreciate it.
My pleasure. I could go on all night. My wife's kind of saying, hey, it's time to eat, but okay.
All right,
Coach,
man.
I appreciate it a lot.
Thank you all, guys.
All right, man. All right, Del. Well,
a good word for you with Sonny.
Oh, I got to hear about Rick's story here. What you got, Rick?
I know he got me.
Charles Barkley.
He got me curious now. I'm about to
Now
call
he got Charles Barkley.
Okay.
All right.
Charles is the best.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much, everybody. And let's do this all again. And, hey, wow, man, what a show. What a show. I love it. All right, guys. I want to say thanks. And Rick, Brian, yep, man, we'll get back and do it again. I think we got a special guest next week, too.
Special guest.
Special guest, as Mr. Barkley said. All right, but man, You guys have a good day, and it's daytime for us, and a good evening over there. And yeah, we'll do it again. Thank you for being on ABA 101. Peace.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
You got Barkley coming?
No, I'm gonna tell you that story in a minute. I'm gonna call you, Coach. I'm gonna call you in about 5 minutes.
He's gonna call you, Coach.
Let me tell you, thanks for not having me on after him. I couldn't follow that act.
Oh my God, you guys are killing me. All right, guys, everybody take care. All right, all right, guys.
All right.
See you guys.
All right, bye bye.
The best way to keep up with everything happening around here at ABA 101 is to join our monthly newsletter. Just for joining, we give you $230 worth of free gifts from our sponsors once you confirm your email address. You can unsubscribe at any time, but why would you? Just go to our website, www.aba101.club, scroll to the bottom of the page, and subscribe.
Come explore the No Strings Attached e-News online magazine. Our global array of authors inspire, delight, and educate with practical and entertaining articles. And with Focus On, we help producers of film, web series, and other video content attract a wider audience. Plus, your project can stream on Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, and more with our media partners E360 TV and NETV. No Strings Attached e-News, focusing on human interest. Advertising available, nsaen.com.
Hey guys, got a question you want answered or a special topic that you might want on the show? We want to hear from you. Just email us at letschat@aba101.club. Well, that's going to do it for this week. Remember, you can keep up with every episode by subscribing via our website. Follow us on social media and tell your friends about us. Next week, new guests, more basketball tips, more basketball stories about the game we all love. Till then, be safe and keep your eyes on the ball.
I give a damn doc, give him a bone. Give a damn doc a bone. I give a damn doc, give him a bone. Give a damn doc a bone.
Give him a bone.